Say the hip hop, the hippie do the hip hip hop. You don't stop the rock to the bang bang boogie. Say up jumps the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie the beat. Now what you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat, and me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to move the feet. Everybody go hotel, motel. What you gonna do today? Say what? I'm a cat fight girl, gonna guess this one could drive off in a devil day.
Who could resist the idea of time travel? There it was, a time machine. In retrospect, it was a mistake. Call it arrogance, hubris, or just plain stupidity. For someone who has 2 PhDs, yeah, it was dumb. How was I to know I wouldn't survive, exiled to this purgatory? Not alive and not quite dead. It was to be a little time travel sightseeing. What could that hurt? What could go wrong? I know, famous last words. Can work the figures that appear to prove my theory. It was a lot of work to build the time machine. Too much for something that was really an intellectual exercise. I looked at the finished machine. It taunted me. Come on, it's just a visit. Take me for a spin. I decided to do it. I would track down my revolutionary ancestor just to see what he was like. I thought myself quite clever as I planned the trip. I still contend I thought of everything. My pre-trip checklist was complete. Clothes, check. Maps, studied. Date, targeted. Longitude and latitude, check. I was ready. I input the time and place. The machine started up. Felt a little funny and everything around me turned to flashes and strips of light. But after about a minute, everything cleared up. The machine and I landed in the woods. As I walked toward the town, I pulled out a few grapes and wrapped in a cloth napkin for a snack. Unfortunately, it was on those grapes I ended up choking, alone and out of my time. Who would have thought those grapes would kill me, brought down before I could even reach the town or see anything? Now, I'm not in the past, nor in the time I should be. I have no idea what happened to my future self. I'm wondering if I just ceased to exist as I would if I had killed my grandmother. But then I think not, since I didn't have time to change anything. I think the most likely scenario was that I just disappeared. My watch left on my dresser, my favorite hat thrown carelessly on my chair. I personally did nothing to alter the future. The consequence of my death, I left my time machine in a place it should not have been, and the effect of that on the future. I have no clue.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on.
So I have a friend, had a friend named Karen. And no, not Karen of 2020 fame. She's the original Karen. I've known her for 20 years. And trust me when I say she's been a Karen since, Well, since before it was an insult to be called a Karen. A couple of months ago, a note from Karen arrived in the mail. Just looking at her loopy, girly handwriting annoyed me, and I knew best to just open it quickly and like ripping off a Band-Aid, see what kind of excuse I'd need to get out of whatever kind of party she's planning now. If you RSVP no to Karen, you damn well better have an excuse that you can back up with a credible alibi like jury duty or major surgery. Just kidding. I'd never lie like that. Besides, she'd want to come visit me, tell all the nurses and doctors and Candy Stripes what good friends we are, and tuck my sheets in for me. Seriously, I had a dream once that she came to visit me in the hospital, and she tucked my sheets in so tight, I felt like a Chinese concubine in her first set of foot bindings. Wow, that was random, but metaphorical for my relationship with Karen. I poured a glass of wine, sat down to see what dreary event my frenemy was hosting this time, but it wasn't an invitation, just a simple note. The first line read, "Dear friends," friends with an S. Clearly she had sent this to all 5 of us, the girlfriends I do like, the ones that put up with her too, for reasons often hard to justify. "Dear friends, my dear sweet stupid husband came home from work today and confessed he has behaved inappropriately towards Paula. He has apologized and promised never to do it again. I forgive him, and I hope you will too. And I ask that you not talk about this anymore. Love, Karen." What the fuck? Oh, pardon my French. I was floored, not just by the confession of inappropriate behavior, but by the audacity of her asking us to forgive and forget and not talk about it, whatever it was. Naturally, I called my best friend Lori, who had also received the note, as had Colleen and Melissa. Paula, go figure, did not. Long story short, Karen was flat out not understanding the gravity of her husband's offenses. Or worse, she knew exactly what he'd done and was just covering his ass. There is inappropriate and then there is stalking, distinctly different. Turns out, all of us had encountered some degree of this sweet, stupid behavior over the years. And as the stories unfolded, it was clear that creepy stalker was a more appropriate term. Suffice it to say, poor Paula must have skipped class when they taught us how to deflect inebriated flirtations and avoid unwanted advances. Don't misunderstand. I believe her. She certainly didn't deserve to be targeted like that. But how she let it go on for so long in the name of keeping Karen for a friend? I'll never understand. As for me, I finally realized that the phrase "keep your friends close and your enemies closer" is not really a particularly good guiding principle. You see, I'd done it too for years, keeping toxic relationships without reason or reward, and thankfully without needing a restraining order. My circle of friends has had a major reshuffle, but it's all good. An era has ended, but life is so much less complicated now, and I could not be more relieved.
And here's to the girls who just watch. Aren't they the best? When they get depressed, it's a bottle of scotch plus a little jest. Another chance to disapprove, another brilliant zinger, another reason
Sweetheart, today was a very special day, and I couldn't wait to share it with you. Remember when you, your mom, and I went to Kensington, and we walked for miles on the nature trails? How we sang and laugh and enjoy Mother Nature? Well, I found this fantastic 4-mile route that reminds me of that. It's a great place to superpower walk, and I have it all to myself now that it's cold outside. It's not a problem as long as I bundle up. I set a new goal for myself a few months ago to finish the entire 4 miles as fast as I could go without stopping or slowing down. I didn't tell you before because I wasn't sure if I could do it. And the last thing I would ever do is let you down. Guess what? I did it. I really did. Not bad for your 70-year-old dad. Want to know what made the difference? Well, first of all, your cheapskate father finally broke down to about a $175 pair of running shoes. And you said I'd never do it. But today, for the first time, I thought about you and Mom with every step I took. I thought about Kensington and how happy we were. All the picnics under our special tree where you carved our initials in a heart. Getting a Dairy Queen on the way home. And the time you smushed your cone in my nose and called me Frosty. That was my motivation and my inspiration. No, not the smushing, but all the great times we shared together. And what made it extra, extra special is that today is Christmas. My first Christmas in 29 years without you. Not a day goes by that I don't think about you. Not one. When we lost Mom 2.5 years ago, you were my one ray of sunshine. Now that you're gone too, I feel, I don't know, it's like a strange blend of emptiness and love and sadness. I miss your beautiful smiles, your hugs, putting stink bugs in my underpants and watching Mom laugh. How excited you got when you met a new guy you really liked. But most of all, I miss you. I gotta give you a lot of credit. You were one hell of a fighter. You never stopped believing you were going to defeat your cancer. Even at the end when you were in so much pain, you always had a smile. And you wanted to know how I was doing. You had so much love and compassion in your heart, just like your mother. God, I miss her. Even though I thanked you 100 times in my prayers, I want to thank you again for saving my life. If it wasn't for your nonstop harassing me to get a checkup, I wouldn't have gone to Dr. Catane, who found my cancer early. Now, I'm completely cured and strong like bull. You couldn't have given me a better Christmas present. Hey, want to hear some more good news? I'm setting a new goal for myself. By this time next year, I'm going to do 5 miles. Not if, but when I do, it will be my Christmas present from me to me and to you. Can I ask you a favor? If they have stink bugs in heaven, will you put one in Mom's panties as a little Christmas gift from me? Merry Christmas, sweetheart. Merry Christmas.
I walk a lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. I don't know where it goes, but it's home to me, so I walk alone.
Someone once said that a mind is a terrible thing to waste. At my age, I know exactly what they mean. When did I go from a mind like a steel trap to lost in the fog? I mean, literally lost in a fog. Well, maybe I don't mean literally, but it's like that word that I need to finish the crossword puzzle, or the fact that I'm searching for to make my point are floating just beyond reach, behind all that soft, fluffy stuff in my brain. I know it's there. I can practically see it, almost touch it, and then it skitters away. This happens with my things to do list too. The light bulb. It goes out in my reading lamp. I decide that as long as I'm going to the basement for a new light bulb, I might as well grab another roll of toilet paper. And as long as I'm walking through the kitchen, why not throw that old mail away that's been sitting on my end table for 2 days? So I grab the trash and head on down. I get all the way to the basement when I realize I am still holding on to the trash. Crap! I kick myself mentally for a moment, and then another thought comes to me. Why did I go to the basement? It came to me. So I grab the toilet paper, climb the stairs, throw out the trash, drop the toilet paper in the bathroom, and sit down in my chair. That's when I realized I'd forgotten the light bulb. This stuff happens to me all the time. Yesterday, perfect example. I was in the shower. My mind was ablaze with good ideas. I do a lot of thinking there. It's quiet and peaceful, and the hot water is so soothing. It just seems to open the mind and let it flow. Some of my best writing started in the shower. Well, anyway, I gaze down at the bottle of body wash and discover a ladybug hiding behind it. Well, I don't know how it got there. I mean, after all, it's the middle of winter, but there it was, upside down. And I think its little legs were like waving in the air. Oh, it's just unacceptable. Okay, I am not afraid of bugs, but I really rather not shower with them. It kind of messes with my zen. Well, fast forward to this morning. I turn on the shower, pull back the curtain, and lying there in a puddle of water is the same bug. Definitely dead this time. But I had completely forgotten about it yesterday. Like all the good ideas I had in the shower, rescuing that little bug just drifted off into the fog. Well, I was not going to shower with a dead body swirling around my feet. So I grabbed a tissue and I turned back to fish it out. It was gone. I looked behind the curtain, looked behind the bottle of body wash. I even checked the wall to see if there were any new spots. Nothing. I assume it went down the drain and that I was rid of the thing. Oh, but no, I wasn't. I was obsessed. I spent the entire shower thinking about it. I spent the entire 3 hours afterward writing about it. There should be no dead bodies in my tub. Oh. After all that obsessing, I finally exercised it and can let this safely go and drift behind that foggy curtain that is my mind. Now, what were we talking about?
You sing the same old verse, stick like glue, for better or worse. What goes around comes around again.
I don't look tough, I don't think. But when I was younger, I was tough. Boy, was I ever. I was so tough, the mafia was afraid of me. Yeah, they were. You want to hear the story? Okay. It was 1959. I was 18 years old, and that September I started college, Detroit Institute of Technology, DIT. It wasn't exactly a Big Ten school. Our classes were in the YMCA building in downtown Detroit, on the corner now where the Detroit Tigers baseball stadium, Comerica Park, stands, right on that corner. During a class break, I went for a walk downtown, then strolled Washington Boulevard, then the Fifth Avenue of Detroit. All of the exclusive shops were on that beautiful street. I came to a men's clothing store called Skolnick's. I had never heard of it. Looking at the window display of these high fashion clothes, I immediately fell in love with it. It was magnificent. The display, the clothes, the ambience. I walked in. You first noticed the plush red carpet and wooden display cases. I mean, I'm talking class and elegance. There was a staircase in the middle of the floor leading to the basement. Oh, excuse me. I learned never to say basement, but the lower level. That's how classy this store was. You couldn't say basement. And socks weren't socks, but hose. Men's hose? The salesmen, all men, were dressed to the nines, well-groomed in beautiful suits with shirts and ties. On display were the latest high-fashion imported Italian knits from Ola Cassini and others. Right then and there, I decided I wanted to work there. But I had no sales experience. I mean, as a kid, I did make pot holders and going door to door selling them, and I had paper routes and delivered pizzas, but still. I waited a few days, preparing myself, and came back and asked to speak to the boss, Mr. Nate Skolnick. NH, they called him, a 5'2" style baron human dynamo. I never really knew what the H stood for. I was determined that I was going to work there, and I persisted. And he actually hired me. I mean, I was thrilled. I was on my way to becoming a haberdasher's apprentice. Let me tell you, anyone who was anybody shopped at Skolnick's. politicians, high-class gross point uppity-ups, up-and-coming wannabes, celebrities, and gangsters. Yes, I did say gangsters. You've all seen the Godfather movie, right? Okay, now picture James Caan, who played Sonny Corleone in the movie. That is the image. The fellow I'm going to tell you about, Tony Gaza, he was the model for Sonny Corleone. Italian, dark, lean, quick movements, shirt unbuttoned, bling around the neck. He was an up-and-coming captain in the Cosa Nostra. Well, there was this table with various small gift items on it. Tony, with a cohort standing next to him, was at that table. I was standing in the opposite end of the store, sort of kitty corner from him. It was not that large an area, and there were some posts in between. Anyways, he picks up this expensive pearl handle letter opener, admiring it, and slips it up his sleeve. He looks around and sees me seeing him. Our eyes lock. Well, I have to admit, I nearly made in my pants right then and there. I said to myself, why the hell do I have to see this? I envisioned myself going for a dip in the Detroit River wearing a pair of concrete slippers. How would I explain that to my mother? What would I do if he walked out? I looked around to see if anyone else had seen this. I mean, there were other salesmen and customers in the store. No, it was me and me alone. After a few tense moments that seemed like forever, he slides the letter opener from under his sleeve, hesitates. He looks back at me, I at him. The pearl handle inches out, and then the silver blade, a shiv that could be thrust into flesh, mine. Beads of sweat formed on my forehead. Where is Luca Brasi when you need him? Then he, Tony, placed it back down on the table and walked out of the store, to my great relief. No dirty looks or anything, he just walked out, but with a strut and a stride. I don't recall if I saw Tony again, but I did see associates of his in the store, and I don't think I'm imagining it, but I did notice a reluctance to look me in the eye. So when I tell you, don't mess with me, I mean it. This is just one story about my time at Skolnick's, which lasted about 20 years, part-time, off and on. Remember, it's nice to be considerate, maybe even a little solicitous of the elderly. They may have an interesting anecdote to tell you. Oh, sometime, let me tell you about the time I waited on Jimmy Manny. You heard of him, the schnoz?
Ground floor perfumery, stationery and leather goods, wigs and haberdashery, kitchenware and food going up. First floor, telephones, gents' ready-made suits, shirts, socks, ties, hats.
It's a world of laughter, a world of tears. It's a world of hope and a world of fear. There's so much that we share that it's time we're aware. It's a small world after all. It's just one moon and one golden sun, and a smile means friendship to everyone. Though the mountains divide and the oceans are wide, it's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. It's a small world.
Hello? Hello? I'm still here. Hello? Just just wondering, could anyone write another monologue to get me out of here? Hello?